Welcome. This is the Digital Scholarship Laboratory Workshop Series Introduction to Tableau. I'm David Lowe and I'll be doing the presentation. So today we'll talk about why you would use Tableau, the business intelligence market, and where Tableau fits in. We'll talk about flavors of Tableau, the variants that you might use. We'll talk about how Tableau deals with data connections, what it produces as far as visualizations, and then we'll just dive into some demos with sales data based on a tutorial from Tableau themselves. So why would you use Tableau? Well, Gartner, the consulting firm that looks at a broad range of IT issues and follows trends, in their 2016 annual report for business intelligence and analytics, they have Tableau, as you see here, in what they call the magic quadrant, the visionary and able to execute sort of part of the landscape there, up there with Click and Microsoft, and we'll talk about those a little bit more as well. So a software to watch for sure. It's already gained a lot of traction. There is a lot of competition though. Click, as mentioned on the earlier slide, previous slide, has a similar product called ClickView. Microsoft is developing Power BI, they call it, and it's coming on strong, as is a product from Google called Data Studio. And all of these are have cost structures eventually with some low barriers to entry, like for example Tableau is also free to try at some lower levels. The ecosystem that we're talking about here kind of starts on the left here with sources. Data's got to come from somewhere. Let's say in an organization, in a company, in a university, your HR data is probably going to be in something like an Oracle database, an RDBMS, relational database management system that holds key information like hiring and salaries and other related information. But you're also probably involved, any kind of organization has some communication arm pretty much. Maybe it's marketing with MailChimp by email. You probably have a website and you want to track your analytics from something like Google Analytics. Or maybe you even want to mix all of those with, let's say, census data that the U.S. government provides from data.gov, and you could look at potential markets for where you operate in your sphere of business. So lots of different sources for data. Once we have the data sources identified, we need to somehow make them workable to what we want to do with them. And that's what data wrangling is about. One of the leaders on this, in this column here, data wrangling for ETL, that is to say extraction, transform, load, is Alteryx, and that is based on a lot of R code, which we also are looking at here. Once you have data in a shape that you can use across all of the values that you want to study or analyze, you will then pull it into a data application piece of software, and that's where Tableau is. You see, you are here. And Excel is also up there, probably one of the most widespread tools. But Tableau has some other features that we'll look at in a moment to expand on what you can do with visualizations. Lots of competitors in that market. And you see our studio is there, and we of course also teach that as part of our workshop series with Robson. I invite you to take those when they're available. So, flavors of Tableau. There is Tableau Server, which you would have installed on a server for several $1,000s, probably if your organization is going this route. Tableau Desktop is what we'll be doing today. And then there's Tableau Public, which is more of a web-based, individual user could be, it's free to there are lots of reasons to use all of the above. If you really want to share interactive visualizations, you'll be either looking at this Tableau server or Tableau public. From desktop, you can create something that you can share on either server or public, but for the most part, if you're dealing in desktop, you're sort of desktop publishing a visualization that would either probably be shared as a PDF or an image, and not necessarily be something that your user could manipulate. Again, that would have to be in the server or public environment to manipulate. That is to say, oh, let's look at these values from low to high instead of high to low, etc. The data connections you can use in Tableau are, of course, data files, spreadsheets, our good old familiar Excel files, or text files like comma-separated values, tab-separated values. These structured text files are the bread and butter, probably, of what we mostly do in data work, data analysis work, data science. Relational databases you could also connect to, as well as other online data sources like an API that someone might make available for a data source, or Tableau has its own community of data connectors as well. So we'll be working with an Excel file in our demo in a second. Let's look at the visualizations you can produce. So of these three icons, the first is a worksheet, that is to say an individual graphic, an individual visualization, or viz, as the Tableau people say. A dashboard would be a set of these that you arrange to cover a range of slices of looking at your work and pertinent metrics to that work. And then a story, the final one, it looks like a book there. That is an ordered presentation of graphics and a dashboard, maybe a mixture of any of the above, to report on a particular story and to focus from a broader story down to probably an actionable statement at the end. So we're going to dive in, and the steps are on the slides if you access them from the DSL workshops page, and I'll mostly just be talking through all 6 of these step slides as we go through Tableau itself, the demo. So we open up Tableau. Again, I can email you a license for the semester, and or you could also get, as a student, you could get a free trial as well. The data we're going to use I can also make accessible if anyone wants that. So the data file we're going to use is an Excel file, as I mentioned. So there's connecting to files, connecting to servers, and there's some other options there. So Excel file, Global Superstore Orders 2016, yes, that's what we want. And it's going to open that up. You see that it pulls in that file. There is the file. Here is the 2 sheets it has identified, 2 worksheets within the Excel file. There's orders and people, and we're going to work with orders. So as you see, the drag and drop here, drag sheets here. While it's loading, already loaded, I guess, but you can note that you can either connect live to a source or extract it. Of course, live to a spreadsheet, as small especially as this one is, we can just connect live. But if you were to be connecting to a server, you probably, to be kind to the other server users and not bog them down, you might want to extract your data for the purposes of your visualization work in Tableau. Okay, so let's look at what we've pulled in here. We've got our columns and rows. That looks right. We note that Tableau recognizes data types. Here's numeric, here's alphanumeric or string, here's date type. Over here we have some geographic information that it's identified. So these little icons signify that it has identified the data type. You can rename right here if you want. Let's say we rename row ID to row num for some reason. That's what we wanted to call that one. Okay, so that's some of the functionality. Before we actually begin working with the visualization, we can manipulate the spreadsheet. We can do things like break out this concatenated field, for example. Look what we can do here. We can go to this drop-down menu. We can say split it, and zip zap. It leaves the original, and then at the end of our file work, we've got the 4 parts per column here. So we're just going to delete 2 and 3 and 4 and pretend we want this guy that we broke out. We're just going to call it distribution centers. That's what we wanted from that concatenated field that we didn't have already. Alright, so working around with the spreadsheet, you can do things with the data. To create a visualization, just go down here, click on Sheet 1, and notice our canvas, our fields pulled in here in this menu on the left. We've got some palettes and familiar menu system. So the first thing we're going to do is note that Tableau suggests some things for us once we choose some values. These grayed out items will show us some potential visualization types, bar charts or geographic or pie charts, that we might work with. These are not the only kind. There are a range of others that you could use, but these are the most popular ones that it will suggest for us. Okay, so if you hold down the Control key and select fields like sales and country, you will now see, if we go back to show me, you will now see that, oh, it is suggesting a map. And indeed, our sales per country, you notice the proportional bubbles show up. And so that's a nice display of how our sales are doing across the globe. Let's say we wanted to break that down even further, and we want to drag and drop state, and we just drop it on the map. And it thinks about it for just a moment, and voila, it is now broken out per our 50 in the US and across the globe into the regions per country. Note that it has 17 unknown values, so it hit some that it didn't know what to do with, but it didn't clog up the system. Tableau is robust enough to take all of that information in, and even with some bad data, it doesn't skip a beat. It's showing us as much as it can from what we're giving it, what's able to make sense of. So that is the state breakout. Let's say, wow, those bubbles are kind of small, especially in some of the countries. Let's say we want to increase the size. So here on the marks palette, as they call it, go to size and see the slider here. We can increase the size of the bubbles. Say, well, oh, now it's all blurred together, so we notch that down just a little bit. So yeah, that's still blurred together, but at least I can make some sense. Let's see what else we can do here. With the color, we can change the opacity or the transparency down so that you can see through the larger bubbles that are crowding the others, and that makes those easier to see. So we'll notch that down just a little bit. And also something that might help might be to add a border. Let's add sort of a reddish border, and we see that that makes those pop out to distinguish them from one another. Again, note that every single value we can see once we hover over, we can see the values for those states, those subunits of the country. Okay, so we changed the transparency downward, added a bubble. Let's now take profit over here. Let's see, profit is here. And we're going to drop that onto color. Now you see that many of them changed. The bad news is the yellowish, goldish. The good news is the blue. You can tell that by looking at the color menu options. That's how from the negative minimum of negative 29,000 up to positive 99,000 in the blue. That's your range, and you can You could edit that if you wanted to just do a range of one color from light to dark or whatever the gradation, or red to blue, red, white to blue, whatever. We're going to leave it the same and apply that, and that is depicting the profit or lack thereof per state. So now let's drag the category onto filters. And here we go. Drag and drop onto filters. Select furniture and say OK. And then we go over to the pill that we've created. These sort of oval, oblong, cigar-shaped things are called pills in Tableau Talk. So we are going to say show that filter once we've created it. And where did it go? Is it showing it? Yes, it's actually here under the Show Me palette. We covered it up. We can just collapse that. And here is the filter for the types of products we sell. So you can show just furniture, one or any. So you can change. You could make that let's say a drop-down menu if you wanted to. You could make that like radio buttons. We had show single value list. So there's some options there to manipulate it. We're going to leave it as single values. So if we go to the, let's say we're done with this and we want to rename it. So double click here to rename. I'm going to call this Global Sales and Profits. Okay, so that's our first biz. We're done. And the second one we'll go to, also create a new worksheet. That's this icon here. And have a clean slate. What are we going to do? Let's go back to Show Me palette. We're going to hold down Control and select category, subcategory, and sales. Hold down Control. Sales, category, and subcategory. Okay, and it says, oh, that must be a bar chart. And we'll be happy with that. Go with the bar chart. And collapse the Show Me palette, get it out of the way. In the Data Fields menu at left, we're going to watch what happens if you just drag subcategory onto category. It says, oh, you want to create a hierarchy. And in fact, that's what we want to do. Thank you very much. So I'm going to call that products. And note now that they're nested. They're called products and they're nested one under, our category and subcategory are nested under products. Let's say, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. I wanted to add to that hierarchy, I wanted to include, let's see, product name. So product name, we want that in there too. So, oh, whew, okay, great, it's in there. We didn't mess up just because we forgot product name. We can add it. Now look over here at these pills. You know, the category, since it contains subcategory, you can either collapse it or expand it, plus or minus. Typical grammar for GUI Windows kind of actions, collapsing and expanding. Okay, so we can also, now at this point, let's say we want to swap the axes. These are horizontal. Let's make them vertical. Very good. And then let's say we want to make those ordered a little bit better. We don't like, that's all kind of mixed up. So let's select category and tell it to be descending. Category is descending. We also have to do that to the subcategories. Make those descending. Now that's better. Load high, load high, load high. Good. So now let's drag profit onto color and see what happens there. Wow, those tables are eating our lunch, so to speak. Not good. Let's swap the axes again. Make it horizontal again. And let's say we're done with this. We're going to rename it, double click, sales by category. So, done with the second visualization. Let's go on to the third of our three that we'll put on a dashboard in a moment. So, in a new sheet, we're going to drag profit. This is how you work with these rows and columns over here. You take profit and drag it to rows. Take shipping cost, drag it to columns. Take market and drag it to shape. Take category and drag it to color. Customer ID to detail. Okay, now I got all the customers. So this represents the sums of shipping plus profit per customer. That's why we want to disaggregate those by going to, and to do that we'll go to the analysis menu up here and uncheck aggregate measures, and boom, now we've got everything. And you could dig into, notice when you hover, each point you check your outliers just like that. Wow, technology over in California is good. Technology, this one's bad. So you could check out every single individual snowflake and measure there. You can also view a trend line on these. So we do that by going to the Analytics tab over here and add trend line. Once we select it and try to drag it over, it's going to say, hey, which time do you want? Let's just do linear. And note for our furniture, office supplies, and technology, we've got trend lines. Okay? You can deselect, so right click, uncheck, and they disappear. If you don't want those there. So we're going to call this customer breakdown. Double click. We got the third of our visualizations. Okay, so now we're going to do a dashboard. Dashboard is the second guy. And at this point you just drag them over. So the map is global, put that at the top. Sales by category, put that guy down at the bottom. And we'll fit customer breakdown in here too. Too crowded. What do we do there? So if you go to select the worksheet on the dashboard, and you see that you have drop downs and some options, and you can tell it fit the entire view. And it's a little crowded, but it fits where it wasn't fitting before. Okay, so make sure this guy fit. Entire view is already done, and the map looks good. So we're good fitting the entire view. Oh, one thing we probably should have done is Tableau suggests 800 by 600, which they just happen to label your laptop browser. So that's a good, for dashboards, what they recommend is 800 by 600. Okay, so we did the resizing, we got the map, we got the other two, we fit them. Okay, so we're done. We're going to call this sales dashboard. And note that although the worksheets, individual ones, get their titles automatically, we have to tell a dashboard. So you just click Show Dashboard Title, and it pops up there. Okay, so that's good. So we are basically done with what I had to show you. And we can just zip through these. And from here, if you need more training, there's the link to Tableau's resources. But I thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions. And I have a question for you. If you've gone through this, especially if you've gone through it on mine, let me know what's the muddiest point, and there's an eval for you if you don't mind giving us some feedback. Thank you very much.